Imagine this. You are standing alone in a vast moonlit field. The wind is still, the silence thick, pressing against your skin like something alive. Ahead of you, a single path splits in two. One road is bathed in golden light, safe, familiar, paved with the ideals you've been told to follow. Kindness, positivity, selflessness. The other road vanishes into darkness, its depths unknowable. Something about it unsettles you, yet deep inside, a quiet voice whispers that it belongs to you. You hesitate. Every story, every lesson you've learned has warned you against the shadows. Darkness is the enemy, the birthplace of rage, envy, selfishness, and fear. You were raised to chase the light, to suppress the thoughts that claw at the edges of your mind. You tell yourself that the darkness holds only destruction. But then, a disturbing realization settles in. If that were true, why does it feel like a part of you? What if the fear of your own darkness is the very thing that weakens you? You've spent years curating your identity, shaping yourself into something presentable, acceptable. You play the role well, kind, rational, in control. But behind closed doors, when no one is watching, another side stirs. The moments of anger, the intrusive thoughts, the silent cravings for power, chaos, even destruction. You tell yourself these are just passing shadows, but what if they are more? What if they are pieces of you? Pieces you were never meant to erase. And here lies the great question. Is it possible that by rejecting your darkness, you are also rejecting your wholeness? What if, instead of fearing it, you learn to embrace it? The answer is waiting, hidden beneath layers of philosophy, psychology, and a truth society dares not speak. But to find it, you must be willing to walk into the unknown, and so, the journey begins. From the moment you could understand words, you were taught a lie. Society has conditioned you to believe that goodness means purity, that light is all that matters, and that to be virtuous, you must purge yourself of anything dark. But what if this relentless pursuit of purity is the very thing corrupting you? The hidden, repressed part of the psyche that contains everything you deny about yourself. Your anger, your lust, your selfishness, your untamed desires. You bury them, afraid they will consume you. Yet paradoxically, the more you repress them, the stronger they become. Think about it. When a child is told not to touch fire, their curiosity burns even brighter. When forbidden knowledge is hidden away, it becomes intoxicating. And when you lock away your darkness, it festers, manifesting in ways you cannot control. Passive aggression, self-sabotage, anxiety, even unexplained guilt. You become a stranger to yourself, ruled by impulses you refuse to acknowledge. Nietzsche warned of this deception, calling it slave morality, a system that convinces people to suppress their primal instincts under the guise of virtue. Beware that, when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster, he wrote. But here's the irony. The real danger is not in facing your darkness, but in denying it. History proves this over and over. The greatest atrocities were not committed by those who embraced their darkness, but by those who convinced themselves they were righteous. The inquisitors who burned heretics, the dictators who justified slaughter in the name of order, the moral crusaders who destroyed lives, all convinced they were on the side of light. And so, we arrive at the hidden problem. The more you suppress your darkness, the more it controls you. But here's what no one tells you. Your darkness is not your enemy. It is a part of you, and until you face it, you will never be free. Yet the consequences of ignoring this truth go even deeper than you think, and they are already shaping your reality in ways you do not yet see. You walk through life believing you are in control. You make your choices, define your morals, shape your identity. But beneath the surface, something else is pulling the strings. The shadow you refuse to face does not simply disappear. It seeps through the cracks of your carefully constructed self, influencing you in ways so subtle, so insidious, that you mistake them for fate. You sabotage relationships, lash out at those closest to you, make choices that contradict your own desires, all while convincing yourself that you are acting out of logic, morality, or even love. But are you? Think of the person who prides themselves on kindness, yet harbors quiet resentment. The one who claims to despise power, yet manipulates in silence. the self-proclaimed pacifist who secretly enjoys the thought of vengeance. This is the paradox of repression. The more you deny your darkness, the more it disguises itself as virtue. Psychologists call this projection, the unconscious act of seeing in others what you refuse to acknowledge in yourself. The tyrant who claims to protect freedom. The moralist who condemns others to mask their own sins. The activist who preaches peace but seethes with hatred for those who disagree. Every time you judge, despise, or demonize, you reveal a hidden part of yourself. But the consequences go even further. Neuroscience suggests that suppressing emotions, especially negative ones, causes them to manifest in physical ways. Chronic stress, anxiety, even illness. Your mind fights itself, a civil war between who you are and who you pretend to be. The cost? Your authenticity. And so, you become divided, a being at war with itself. You feel the dissonance but cannot name it. You seek distractions, addictions, anything to escape the gnawing sense that something is missing. But what is missing is you. The whole you. The unfiltered you. The version of yourself you were never allowed to meet. And the terrifying truth? You cannot heal what you refuse to see. But there is a way out. A rebellion against everything you were taught. A way to reclaim what is rightfully yours. But it demands something radical. It demands that you stop running. Stop running. Turn around and face it. The anger, the fear, the cruelty, the hunger for power, the unspeakable thoughts that make you question who you are. Look at them, not with shame, not with disgust, but with curiosity. This is where the rebellion begins. You were raised to believe that to be good, you must suppress your darkness. But what if the opposite is true? What if real strength comes not from denial, but from integration? This is what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole by uniting both the light and the shadow within you. It is not about surrendering to darkness, nor about pretending it doesn't exist. It is about wielding it. Think of history's most compelling figures, leaders, artists, revolutionaries. They were not people who ran from their darkness. They were people who harnessed it. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, understood his capacity for cruelty and used that knowledge to rule with wisdom. Friedrich Nietzsche embraced his inner chaos and turned it into philosophy that reshaped the world. Even Viktor Frankl, surviving the horrors of a concentration camp, found meaning not by denying suffering, but by looking it in the eye and refusing to let it break him. This is the path forward. Own your darkness or be owned by it. But how? First, recognize it. Catch yourself when you judge others. What is it in them that reflects something in you? Notice your triggers, your irrational reactions, your unexplained fears. They are clues, pointing toward buried truths. Second, express it, constructively. The desire for power, the craving for destruction, the unspoken rage, these are energies, neither good nor evil. They can fuel art, ambition, discipline, even love. The difference between a tyrant and a leader, between a monster and a warrior, is not the presence of darkness, but the mastery of it. And third, integrate it. Stop seeing yourself as a fractured being, light on one side, dark on the other. You are both. The moment you embrace this, you stop being a victim of your impulses. You stop fearing yourself. You become something rare, something dangerous, something whole. And yet there is one final truth, the deepest revelation of all, one that will forever change the way you see yourself in the world. Imagine standing before a mirror. Not the kind that flatters, but one that shows you everything. Every thought you've buried, every impulse you've denied, every contradiction you pretend doesn't exist. This is the moment of reckoning. Not a battle, not a surrender, but an understanding. There was never light without darkness. You were never meant to be purely good, nor purely evil. You were never meant to erase half of yourself to fit into someone else's definition of virtue. The greatest deception of all was believing that your darkness was something separate from you. Look at nature. The sun rises and it sets. Life begins and it decays. A predator kills, not out of malice, but out of instinct. Even the human body obeys this law. Cells die so new ones can grow. Why then, do you believe that your mind should be any different? Why do you believe that the parts of you deemed unacceptable are not just as necessary as those you proudly show the world? To accept your darkness is not to glorify it. It is to take responsibility for it, to wield it, rather than let it control you from the shadows. This is what true freedom looks like. Consider this. The most dangerous person is not the one who has embraced their darkness, but the one who denies it, unaware of how it puppeteers their actions. The tyrant who believes himself a savior. The zealot who justifies cruelty as righteousness. The person who insists they have no anger, only to lash out when it finally consumes them. But you, if you have walked this far, if you have stared into the abyss without flinching, you are different. You now hold a power most never will. The power of self-awareness. And with it, the ability to choose, not to suppress, not to indulge, but to integrate. So, ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped fearing your darkness? If you shaped it into strength, wisdom, and purpose? If, instead of rejecting parts of yourself, you became whole? The world tells you to be only light, but the truth is, only those who embrace their darkness can truly stand in the light without being blinded by it.